What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, taking a look at, man, a deck that I've been playing for years and years now, and I feel like it just got a major boost, and I just haven't realized it until now, in with this card right here. I'm not going to try to say it. Let's say Fenrir. It's the new archetype that came out that banishes, but the unique thing about this card, it's a free special summon if I control no monsters, which is great for tributing monsters, right? Free special summon. Also, it searches a copy of itself, meaning that if you can special summon it and you have one extender or like one extra body, like Magician's Souls, you can then tribute summon using itself and that other card. So it's like a really good tribute summon engine. And it's like pretty much the best tribute that you can do other than like Erebus, because it's interruption during your opponent's turn, which is something that is sorely lacking from the Monarch archetype. So it works out really, really well. So I will go card by card here. Okay, I play one copy of Eldlich. I think that is obviously pretty bold. You could probably take out one copy of this, and just put an Eldlich, another copy of it, but it's not really necessary because it's not like you're going into your extra deck, and I've never had an issue with this at one. I feel like this is a better card to see in your hand anyways, and you're always going to kind of have access to it through a myriad of different ways. It's something different that I've done. I've never played this at one, but I think it works well in this deck specifically. One copy of Erebus. Everything's kind of searchable through Ether, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you see of the big monsters as long as you contribute. Because if Domain of the True Monarchs isn't getting it done for you, then you're losing the duel anyways. So that's kind of why I play this weird lineup of one-ups, because everything kind of like goes through Ether. Dark Simorgh is something that you contribute, so your opponent can't set monsters. If you're playing Eldlich, this is obviously like an insane card. And it's also summonable during your opponent's turn off of Ether. Interesting to know. You would think it only special summons like Monarch monsters, but no, it's like a pretty generic thing. Special summon a monster with 2400 or more attack, 1000 defense from your deck, so it fits that requirement. So technically it's interruption during your opponent's turn, and you never know if they are playing some sort of traps, meaning they just won't be able to set it. Hopefully, at least. It's a decently sized body. Plus, again, at that point they won't be able to go into the extra deck anyways. So kind of hard for some decks to do that. And 3 copies of this new card. I hope it gets a very just English name, because that would help me out a lot. But the card's really good. You'll see it in a bunch of replays. So after this, I'm going to show a couple of key interactions. They're going to call them combos, but it's not a combo deck. But I'll show you some of the key interactions of the deck, and then I'll show you a bunch of replays. One copy of Dazzling, or the Luminous Lunar Dragon, another thing that you can summon off of Ether. It's also one tribute, which is pretty decent. But yeah, again, it's just something that if you have this, you tribute summon during your opponent's turn, and then you just have a card that, opponent's monster that you can steal. Which obviously it's a half decent effect. Or if you see it in your opening, it's like it's an easy one card, tribute with Domain. Majesty's Fiend card wins you duels. Obviously, it's like an extreme. It's like Mystic Mine. Actually, it literally is Mystic Mine, minus the your opponent's monsters can't attack. So obviously, neither player can activate monster effects. This is really like the only thing. Like once this hits the board, that kind of sucks that you can't have it. But otherwise, like the advantage is all yours, of course. 2 copies of it's Unit Camouflite, but apparently the English name was Anchimifrofrit. At least that's what I call it. Don't know why they decided to do that, but hey, 3 Magician's Souls. Good, this card got a reprint. It's like way more affordable now, so. I think I have like 1 copy, and I'll probably pick up a couple more. And I like to play this deck in real life, so this is definitely like necessary. Or if this card's cheaper, I don't know. I think this card's actually kind of expensive too. Like you could run 3 of these. It doesn't really matter in the end. Like you're never gonna let this go off 3 times either way. So if this card's cheaper, then you can just pick 3 copies of Illusion of Chaos and then only have 2 of Magician Souls, if that makes sense. 3 Pantheism, obviously, card's crazy. For like a lot of different reasons. It's great to send off Magician's Souls. It's a mega plus. Or, it's just a draw engine for you as well. Because you can't play like any of the pot of cards, obviously. 1 copy of Tenacity. So you're going to see a lot of these one-ofs in, like, when it comes to my Monarch stuff. It's because this is kind of a pivot point. So I run 2 domain, 1 tenacity, and 1 stormforth. The idea is like if you're searching domain, like you have to have one of these in your hand, right? So like your banished pantheism, give your opponent the choice of tenacity, domain of the true monarchs, and another copy. You would think like, oh, why wouldn't you just run 3 of these? Because like you never know, like during your opponent's turn, maybe you don't need this, and you can search the Stormforth, and it's kind of like a surprise. That's the only reason I like. Normally I wouldn't run this, but this card is pretty decent. So like basically you have 3 copies of this is like really what I'm trying to say. But there's always like the slight possibility that this is the card that you'll need, because it can help like get over some really troublesome cards like this. I think it's definitely not like needed to have in the deck. It's a great out for like mostly anything. 2 Cursed Eldlin. I used to run this at 3. If you're playing the True Draco version, obviously that would be different. Now, if Masterpiece comes off the ban list, this card obviously has to go to 3 like immediately, and that would just drop a copy of this or something. And that'd be pretty wild. So hoping Masterpiece comes off the ban list, but yeah, it's fine right now. It works great with Magician Souls, but Scarlet is a little bit more important. It gets your engine going just a little bit more than Cursed Eldlin does, but it definitely has its usability. I already talked about why I run this at 2. 3 Scarlet. I love running 3 Scarlet, 2 Conquistador, and 1 Hakero has been like my just staple for so long. Like it just works so well in this deck at these ratios. At least the traps. 3 Monarchs are up. Like it's like an insane skill drain. It's really awesome. 2 of the Prime Monarch. You definitely want to be able to send it a couple times. It's also like kind of not bad to draw, depending on the situation. And then I do also run 1 copy of Golden Land Forever because sometimes you have really great hands, and you'll see that where you can set up the domain lock and then have it also protected by Gold Land Forever. Meaning if your opponent probably only has 1 out in their hand, you have the negate for it, which is pretty awesome. The side deck isn't really that important. Like you'll only have maybe you'll take out the Stormforth or something. You'll probably take out Gold Land Forever, maybe 1 copy of a monster, since you're going second. So technically you get an extra draw. So you can like run Nibiru or Change of Heart, Harpies, Dark Ruler no more. Twin Twisters obviously is pretty decent. Red Reboot and Anti-Spell's obviously pretty good when you know you're going first. So like that's when you can take out the Stormforth especially. And whatever else. Like sometimes like your opponent doesn't need to go in through extra deck, so you'll just drop 2 copies of these. It just kind of depends. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the replays. Let's look at the combos first. So this is like the core combo. Like this is what makes this deck so insane. So you're gonna plus here, right? You get a free copy, and then you get to send 2. So you're going +4, which is just insane. Because this is gonna plus you, and this is also gonna plus you. Also, you get to draw 2, which is just awesome. So this is again, I showed you that's how that pivot point, like pretty much this is an extra copy of Domain of the True Monarchs, although it actually serves an even bigger purpose because it's free fodder to discard or to banish off of the Prime Monarch, which is kind of cool. And then during your opponent's turn, obviously, you can special summon an Eldlich, and then you have Gold Land Forever to protect it. That's like literally what I was just talking about. Other like small combo, don't pay attention to Foolish Burial. I'm just like putting the situation here. Awesome interaction. Like if you don't have anything to discard off of Pantheism of the Monarchs, and you have an Eldlich in grave, well, you can obviously just set it and then send it to the graveyard, which is just awesome. I love that interaction. And you can keep this in your hand and use it as tribute because you can also use Eldlich of the Golden Lords. It only requires 2 tributes, so it can also be used to have that domain lock on your opponent. We will go ahead and start going through here. I have a lot of replays, so this is against like a Mystic Mine deck, and I think he was like playing Inspector Border and Red Eyes Fusion, so it's just kind of like gross, the deck. Decides a Dark Bribe right off the bat, the Cursed Eldlin. Kind of makes sense, I guess, because it does plus quite a bit. There can be only 1. Doesn't really do anything against this deck, which is awesome. So I can go ahead and Tribute Summon, which is cool, right? It's that 1 Tribute, and then I also have like a negate, so he's going to Solemn Judgment that. Kind of surprising, not going to lie. But he does go for Pot of Extravagance there. And he gets Terraforming. He goes for Mystic Mine, meaning I can kind of read him like an open book. So he's going to go for Mystic Mine, leaving himself open, meaning all I have to do is just tribute summon one monster. He's going to go for Skill Drain. So he has like two of like the most intense, continuous traps in the game up, and I've played right through it, which is kind of impressive, honestly. And I can go ahead and tribute summon there, get over the Battle Fader. I still have the Monarchs are up, which I guess I don't really need now. But okay, I can go ahead and bring this out, and then once again, give me myself the Omni Negate, give myself it. He tries to activate Demise on the land, so I guess I have to activate it right away, which is just perfectly fine. I can go ahead and tribute the Scarlet, basically protecting myself against Mystic Mine. Also had an extra copy of Pantheism. And the reason it's never bad. Like, I guess you never know if your opponent's going into the extra deck. I guess he did have some cards in there. But more importantly, this boosts the attack of this card. But, yeah. Pretty cool to see that I was able to play around some pretty wild stuff. Mystic Mine, there can be only one, and Skill Drain. Yeah, Hand Destruction against my deck, not good. I am going to be plussing like crazy. So, he's going to give me a monster as well. Like, this is just not good for him. Like I said, you have 3 spots, right, for like the big going second card of your deck, because otherwise, like, you need every card for the consistency. So Nibiru luckily was one of that, but he actually helped me by playing those Hand Destructions, so I was able to find the Nibiru. I don't think it was in my opening. I can go ahead and pop this giant token, and look at all the follow-up too, which is absolutely crazy. What I could have done after. He would have been, Monarch Erupt locked. Couldn't activate monster effects after that. Although I think that might have actually just been the end of the game anyways. This is against a Egyptian god deck of some sort. So I do at least have one interruption. This is a casual deck, and I'm obviously playing casual decks myself. Okay. It's not like, this isn't terrible in like a casual setup. So he's going to go ahead and special summon Harpy Lady. I thought this was a negate, but it's actually not. I'm going to get rid of his Eldlich in the graveyard. That's obviously something that's very important to him. And okay, I'm just getting my engine rolling here. Seems like I'm free to go as well, which is pretty awesome. Lunar fits the requirements, for Tenacity of the Monarchs. That's the only bad thing about the Kshatri-La card, is that it doesn't fit the stat requirements, which would be really cool if it did. But this card does. This card does. Can't go into the extra deck, and he's going to try to get over Alpha with Alpha, and I will go ahead and destroy that. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the Monarchs Erupt, because at least like until the end of the next turn, it still counts as Skill Drain, which is really cool. All right, I do get an anti-spell there, and I can tribute the Scarlet. That's such a cool interaction. And we can go to the battle phase, so I can get over this. And this is going to pop, but I do have a bunch of interruption. And what do you know? I do have spells, anti-spell. So, yep, those are those 3 spots I keep talking about. I guess they keep showing up in highlights, right? I guess my side deck is important. Okay, Cursed Eldling can go ahead, and this is like an insane opening. Kind of a crazy thing to Ash, not gonna lie. So he does have the Ash, and I think he does go for the Imperm here. No problemo, because this sends for cost, meaning I can still send Pantheism. Showcasing again why I use this card. It's pretty, the ratio seems weird, but it does make sense. So I can give myself some pretty decent follow-up. He also cannot go into the extra deck. Also, Skill Drain. That card's pretty good too. He's going to try to activate a couple effects. I might as well hit Monarchs Erupt there. And he's going to freely special summon out, the Snowbell. I can tribute summon. Because I'm thinking, I remember he was playing Generator, so I had grabbed myself some work. Because I thought that would make sense. Pantheism again can search me. It's just free pluses at this point, so everything is good. Like, once this gets going, like, oh, it's crazy. It's an avalanche. It reminds me of like Sky Striker or something. Here is the new card. It's going to show up pretty good here. So I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, I guess I didn't search the extra copy. Hopefully I remember to do that. It seems like I'm not going to. But yeah, anti-spell's so good. Plus, it's like, that's the only way your opponent's getting out of this. If that makes sense. And again, I guess I just do not want to add an extra copy of this. Okay, and I can go ahead and send there. Tribute summon, I think I was like 100 off. No, I was pretty close. But I do get a snatch steal. Opponent still can't go into the extra deck. I figured that was probably good enough. So every time a Harpies is like normal or special summon, he gets to pop a card. I thought by taking that, like, he wouldn't have any extenders, but obviously he did there. But I do still have this card. It's so good. It's so good. So again, he doesn't have any Harpies, so I'm assuming he won't be able to special summon anything. I'm sure they're all dependent on having Harpies on the field. Showcase how good this card is, man. It's just awesome. Okay, so now I remember to add that extra copy for free. And I can go ahead and, like, if my opponent had Ash or was holding on to it, well, he can't use it anymore. So no monster effects can't go into the extra deck either. And also, I have a Banish from the Graveyard. He's super not able to activate monster effects. He's like, oh, wait, I can't do anything. That's unfortunate. One day of peace is wild to see. That is just so crazy. So maximizing, you know, that draw off the top. Don't want to hit one of these off the top. That would be kind of unfortunate. So even though I went -1, I didn't. So that's the best part about these discards. I discard one at best. It's a, you know, an upstart goblin +1. Also, it sets before you actually draw the card, so it's even better. But that's fine. So he wants to use his Ash there. That's cool. And I can go ahead. He can't activate monster effects. And look at this. Only the good players. Hard open invocation with Alistair the Invoker for sure. But now I have like a free like open zone here, which is pretty good. So I can go ahead and search an extra copy of itself. It's just so cool. I don't know. I should have actually attacked. So the way that this card is worded is when it declares an attack. It's not after it attacks. So that's pretty neat. So I didn't actually have to do this. Which is kind of unfortunate, but now you know. This was like early on when I first started using the card. The card's insane. So every time you attack or your opponent activates a monster effect. It's just a self-perpetuating engine. It's kind of like baiting him to see if he would actually fall for that. And he absolutely did. That was kind of wild. So I'm going to be able to get over this Macabre. And look at that. All three of his Alistairs, right? Oh, maybe not. Maybe you just had the two. Okay, so I at least am getting caught up a little bit. He gets really cocky, man. It's so wild. So he's going to go for Mardell, which is going to search in boss stage. Makes a lot of sense. And he's going to go ahead and activate the effect. I can go ahead and banish for Scarlet. So he's not going to be able to activate this again. And he's got a couple tokens. Like there's no way he shouldn't have summoned out Har here. That is just so wild. Because I do have the Monarch's Erupt. He tried to tribute. If he tributed itself, you know, he could have gone for anything. But he tributes a token, so he just gets left wide open. And now, like, he's not even going to be able to activate his boss stage because he knows I have the Conquistador set. That was a crazy duel. If only he had just tributed his own generator monster instead of trying to tribute a token. This is against a Kaiju deck. Yeah, you'll never really play ever into Sphere mode. That's just not how the deck works. So, One Day of Peace again. Apparently, that's just a very common card tonight. It is casual. It's funny. And I think I'm fine. So, Antimifrofrit comes down. So, that's a free +1 and a body. Card's great. And then, yeah, I get this off the top. It's obviously just super sick. It's going to help me plus a bunch. Which is going to give me the Monarch's Erupt. And no damage, One Day of Peace. But my engine is starting to roll pretty quick here. He cannot go into Alistair the Invoker as of right now. I'm not going to let him search Invocation. And he sniped him right there. Pretty sick. But he does go for Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. But this is fine. I can actually tribute summon during my opponent's turn again. And I can plus some more. So Pantheism goes down. Like, I still have like all the tributes. So I'm fine losing this card, honestly. I want to use the effect now, so when I tribute it, you know, I can search the Scarlet Sanguine. That is why I do that. Erebus can come down, and I'm going to grab a random card from hand. Wish it was Raigeki. That would have been a lot better, because I believe he obviously just has to use it. So this is kind of why like playing one is bad, but also it's like I'm going to be able to get out of my hand. So, or I can just tribute summon using it too. That's why it's kind of uniquely good. But I don't really need it right now. Like, I know he's just playing a Kaiju deck. Another Kaiju Slumber off the top. That's pretty wild. But it doesn't really... I can get over a 3k body, like, super easily. So I can go ahead and, like, use one of his monsters. We'll see what I end up doing this time. It's going to be some Morg. He's playing, I guess, I don't know. It's really not like Eldlich was doing anything at all, but, oh, well, that was also the end of the duel, so it didn't really matter, did it? It didn't really matter. I wasn't even paying attention. Okay, here's another duel against that Kaiju deck. Always kind of interesting to play decks like this, because it's not like they're hard, but you will mess up if you don't play it carefully. So this is going to be kind of wonky, but at least I have a pop during my opponent's turn. That's about all you can ask for. Also, I knew I was playing. This was like game 2 against the Kaiju deck, so, or like game 3. I think it was probably game 2. He probably made me go first. So meaning like he's not going to be able to use his Kaijus. That's kind of why I played my turn that way. I'm going to go ahead and give myself the Omnigate, or at least threaten it. Still don't have a way to... Well, I do have a way to summon, but I figured, you know, what is Majesty Fiend doing against a Kaiju deck? I might as well give myself potentially a pop and a negate. This is just like, I feel like a really bad matchup for him, you know what I mean? Like, this is just not good. Eldlich can go there, and I'm figuring like, okay, what am I really negating? I'm going to go ahead and, you know, get rid of the field spell, because it can protect itself. Also, like, it gets to do a lot. Oh, don't pay. Oops. That was all. Like, Imperm felt like it was 20 years ago. It's so funny. That's so embarrassing. I can't lose now, right? I'm going to activate the effect. That way I can use it to tribute summon, and then at the end phase use it. Always nice to have Pantheism in your hand with Erebus in the graveyard. It's just always pretty cool. I'm going to start picking apart his, you know, his hand. Try to see if I can get less and less Kaijus, because at some point it's not like an unlimited, you know, engine. Like, if he just gives me a monster, then, like, that's actually just not that good. It doesn't really do anything. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber comes down. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm going to be able to use Ether, which is pretty nice. But I don't even think I need to. So Scarlet can go ahead and I can grab Hakero. Maybe I'll probably use it as just like an upstart goblin of some sort. And it looks like I do. I draw into Antrim of Frofrit. And I can lower the, you know, the level there of the Ether. Summon another Ether. Bring this out. And I figured, I thought I could bring this out in attack position, but it specifically makes you summon it out in defense. So I'm like leaving my opponent open for one turn. But again, it's just Kaijus, man. American Sniper there. That was pretty wild. He gets over with Thunder King, but that's obviously perfectly fine. I can do plenty. I can actually just go into this guy too. Declare an attack, banish it. And that would be late game, but this was late game anyways. All of it was. Okay, this is against Libromancer. Nekroz Libromancer, if I'm not mistaken. A 60 card deck. It's kind of bizarre. 60 card piles are something else. I played Magic and it was so weird, man. 60 card decks are I don't know. It's just too big to me. You know, for Magic it's a little bit different because you have to have like physical resources. Okay, he's going to take my Kshatri-La friend and I'm going to go ahead and like, yeah. It's not that it's not after you attack, it's like on attack declaration. So this can pretty much get over anything. It's an upstart goblin, but really it's a +2. That's pretty awesome. It ends up being the Monarch Stormforth. I actually don't need it, and then I can use the Tribute Summon. I talked about that a lot during this video. And now I also have the Omni Negate protect me with the Monarch's Erupt. Plus, this still gets to use the effect to, you know, banish a face-up card, which is just sick. I think this gives him a token. Good for him. And he goes for Fire Burst, which is fine because this stays up for multiple turns. And I think this is going to go away, but I actually kind of have like a sick board behind it. It's not sick, but I do have an Omni Negate, a pop, and also this like face-up banishment. So he's starting to plus there, but I'm thinking, oh, like I can't let him use the Libromancer field spell. Does it only let him ritual summon Libromancers? Yes, it is. Well, I don't know. I guess probably that wasn't the best move then. He's going to summon out a Brionic, get over Conquistador, but that actually kind of helps me just by sending it to the graveyard. And then I can use Cursed Eldlin, so this is just getting better and better. I can go ahead and use Magician's Soul, Special Summon. I didn't mean to send this into defense position. That was my mistake. I thought I had another copy of it in my deck, and I did not. That was my problem. So I should have been able to banish one of these and also get a little bit more damage in, but not the end of the world. So I at least have a pop in like a face-up banishment. And then this is like where I can get Erebus. So if I can send this to the graveyard somehow, I can just like add it back to my hand, and that's pretty neat. It's kind of like a Searcher. It's also just, hey, a big body. It's 2800 attack, which is like, you know, definitely pretty good. Okay, so more Libromancer Necroz. I'm going to just draw a couple cards. I already kind of have the setup. So an Ancient of Frofrit into an Ancient of Frofrit. That's kind of unfortunate. And then I can go ahead and grab the Domain of the True Monarchs. My draws were like so, like it's kind of like the worst case scenarios on my draws, but at least my opponent is locked out of the extra deck. Maybe I should have searched. Yeah, I probably should have searched the Monarch card, Stormforth. So because I don't think he cares that much about his extra deck. Obviously, this is like pretty bad. Like I'm sure he uses his extra deck. I just don't think it's like the main part. Like obviously he's going to be ritual summoning. And I'm going to go ahead and activate this so I can get out my Dark Simorgh. So hopefully he can't get over these. He's probably going to be able to, but it's at least worth trying, right? Because he's not going to be able to set these, and that would, you know, make his traps like one more turn delayed. And I probably wouldn't have been able to, I probably would have been able to summon it too, which is pretty nice. But okay, get shuffled back into the deck. Pantheism can go off, and he's going to go early punishment, which is just crazy. Also, he can't send Elder. It's too big, 2800 attack. I can go ahead and get rid of the last card there. Free special summon. And I could shuffle this card. The card just looks insane. It ended up being a Scarlet Sanguine. This card is like the MVP of the deck, or of the duel, I should say. I can get another free body, and then he's going to go ahead and like make it a 0. It doesn't really do anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and get over his board. So again, like the self-perpetuating engine is so cool, man. I love this card. So I have an Omni, Skill Drain, a pop. Probably not going to be able to get over this board. I wish this was a little bit more than 2400 attack. It's not the greatest. I have, once again, another copy. Poof. Everything just snowballs. It's so crazy. And that's an extra body. And I can banish it, and this should be enough for lethal. Well, more than enough. All right. This is against a Obelisk deck. Interesting. Okay. Not the best opening. It looks like it's like kind of decent. But even if I normal summon this, like I don't have anything behind it, I'd rather have like the face-up banishment. I think it's kind of more important. He's going to go ahead and get over Eldlich, so I protect my life points a little bit there. And I get my engine rolling, more importantly. I can set this if I don't draw anything off the top. But he ends up going for hand destruction, which is kind of funny. You know, that card just gets destroyed. Welcome to Obelisk the Tormentor. And I can go ahead and send there. I'm going to be able to plus like crazy. Ancient of Frofrit can come down. I also get a plus there. Cursed Eldlin. This is like one of the best openings I've ever seen. I can go ahead and tribute summon there. Yeah. With 4 back row, I'm still not even done yet. That's just really good. This is against Punk. Okay. I don't think he does much. Pure Punk decks, not so good. Not so good. Maybe one day they will be. But let's see what happens. So I'm going to go for Magician's Souls. I see Pantheism and Scarlet. That's obviously sick. Especially Scarlet. Because you get to set a card and then draw two. So it's like you're never going to draw into anything that you don't want already. It's pretty wild. And then I can, you know, basically stop him from going anything. Because I think he has, like, quick effects. I don't know why he did not use it. Doesn't have the opportunity to do that anymore. Not at all. I do not have access to, you know, Eldlich, which is kind of unfortunate. But I can at least, like, bring one of these out and then probably normal summon during my opponent's turn. Or, you know, I just use one Conquistador, lower the level, keep going. Like, this monster activate lock is way worse for him than it is for me, obviously. Super Poly and Torrential Tribute. Now, this is one of the one decks that can actually play around Super Poly. And that's just kind of debate. Like, that's pretty cool, too. It's also, like, a great part of this card. It, like, kind of changes the deck, to be honest with you. It makes it significantly better. And, yeah, just look at this. Like, that is just... be salty. It's like major salt there. Alright, this is apparently another Egyptian God deck. Okay. That's a free special summon there, and I can bring out this Magician's Souls. Send both of these because they both like search the opposite, which is awesome. So I'm going to get the Omni Negate, and then I do draw into an Ether, which is just so awesome. Meaning my opponent cannot go into the extra deck. And I have a pop. And I contributed like a monster, like my own opponent's monster. That is pretty wild. And last is like a summon skull deck. It's so funny when you play decks like this. It's like anything that's better than it, which is everything, is like bad. And I don't remember what he was saying, but he was just so salty. He ended up just like quitting after this. It's like, dude, of all the things to complain of, I doubt like a Monarch Eldlich deck is something that is the problem. Okay. These do float, but they only float into the normal monster anyways. Into Summon Skull. I'd love to see some more Summon Skull support, to be honest with you. So I'm going to get a couple of my Scarlets there. Just amassing like a bunch of advantage while he kind of has nothing. It's not great what I have going on here, but I can at least stop my opponent's plays pretty much all the way through. And he's going to go for... There. That's fine. I think this is just a 3,000 attack body. It's literally all it is. It's like, I cannot see one tribute monster. It's like, are you kidding me? Where is it? I just went through half of my deck. That is so insane. I finally found an Erebus. Good lord. So I'm going to go ahead and send a couple to the graveyard, shuffle that back so it doesn't float, and then that's probably the end of the game. It is a Summoner's Art. He's gonna... Why would you just like have a card that adds Summon Skull? It's so bad. Okay, so that was a long look. Jeez, longer than I thought. Look at Monarch Eldlich. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.